Our next presenter is Eric Hozempa. Eric Hozempa is the Executive Director of the Longmont Community Foundation, where he strives to fulfill the Foundation's mission of improving our community through philanthropy and charitable leadership. Eric and his wife Sandy are a longtime residents of Longmont. Together, they manage the needs of their often sarcastic but loving teenagers, Madeline, 17, and Jacob, 13. As a side note, I first met Eric when he was a sarcastic but loving teenager in my high school class some 30-odd years ago. Eric's presentation is on home coffee roasting, which seems appropriate given his degree in philosophy from the University of Colorado at Boulder. Eric, what's up?
So it's actually good that Paul's no longer teaching because all of your students went on to philosophy? No, I'm kidding. I'm just joking. No, we miss Paul very much. So thank you all. I'm going to do a little presentation on coffee roasting, and I'll have to tell you I was really interested in doing this at home and learned about it actually through a radio program called The Splendid Table. And it's something that you can all do at home. I'm convinced of that. So it depends on whether you want to do it or not. Now I love all the coffee houses we have in Longmont, so I want to stipulate that. But this is something that I've been doing for about 1.5 years now. And like I said, you just need some basic equipment. And it really takes a very low-cost investment. So the first thing you want to do is you want to find some sort of roaster. Now, of course, this is an ancient roaster from the Middle East. And, of course, they used to put beans in this, put it over the fire, and then stir it around with a giant spoon over there. This is not, of course, something that you need. This is a little bit too rustic, so I wouldn't recommend you go out and get one of these. And frankly, the beans don't taste very good when you do something like that. You can also go this route. This is a very expensive roaster, and really not that expensive, but it's around the $500 range, and you could do something like that. If you're really into home coffee roasting, you can get something as wild as this and do something like that. But, I'll tell you, the 70s are back now. It's called the West Bend, the Poppery. Remember Joe Namath and Air Pop popcorn and such? The Poppery, you can buy one of these on eBay for about $70. And yeah, believe it or not, they're selling quite a bit because people are actually learning that you can roast your own coffee out of these things now. 1,500 watts of pure power, and if you're not careful, you'll blow the fuses in your garage, like I have several times. You want to start out with some good green beans. I found a supplier in Oakland, California, so that's where I get all of my beans delivered from. And they have a wide variety of various green beans to choose from, and frankly speaking, they're actually quite reasonable. In fact, you can actually roast coffee at home than you could, cheaper than you can actually buy coffee. Now, I don't let everybody know that, but you also need some sort of a fan. Now, I choose to use my grandfather's old Westinghouse fan. You can pick any sort of fan you want and maybe go more modern than this, but my garage is kind of old. We live in a 40s house, so it seems suitable that I should pick some sort of era from that. This is an old strainer that my wife Sandy used to use for kitchen things, and I borrowed it, and now it's covered with brown stuff all over it now from the coffee beans and the roast. So I'd suggest you get a screen. This is really to keep the beans in, that coffee roaster, that hot air popcorn popper. I need some tunes when I'm out in the garage. So again, appropriately, I get a scary boombox from the 80s or 90s. So, it's an Emerson. It's been dropped many times, but it performs really well. So, and then finally, what you're really going to need is you're going to need some sort of artistic piece. I call this wine on vice grips. And this is my Malbec. Actually, it's Malbec on vice grips. But, it's nice to have a beverage if it's a nice day, it's warm. Open up the garage doors, and you'll see why I need to open the garage doors every time I roast coffee very soon. But that's my artistic endeavor there. So you put the beans in. You want to use about a half a cup. Put them in the popcorn popper, and you turn on the popcorn popper. Instantly, they turn yellow. So they turn this yellowish color, and they kind of smell, when they're green, they smell very herbaceous and like weeds. And then when they turn yellow, they kind of start to smell a little toasty, and you'll get a nice flavor, but you don't want to drink it. You really don't want to start doing anything until it gets to be what you call first crack. And first crack, you'll just hear a nice popping sound, and I bought some sort of like that, see? Yeah, bubble wrap, it comes in handy. And right now we'll need a little bit more cowbell to get through this process. So as Blue Oyster Cult would say, we use Bel Diablo that my sister-in-law provided for me. So we'll just make it through this process. And again, you're really looking for the roast of the beans. The whole process takes about 6 minutes. Very apropos for a presentation of this sort. About right now, we'll turn on the fan. The fan will start getting rid of the smoke, because if you leave your garage door closed or your doors closed, you'll soon become asphyxiated with the smoke that comes off the potpourri. And it smells good. My garage has really never smelled better. So here you'll see about first crack. You'll hear this nice Rice Krispies sound. And that's when you know you could drink it right about this point. You could say, okay, I'm going to stick with a light roast. And something you might not know is a light roast, a dark roast. Light roasts have more caffeine. And actually what you're doing through the roasting process is you're getting rid of caffeine. So the darker you go, it's not the coffee, it's not the grown coffee that is laden with caffeine. It's just how far you go with the roast. So you got to put that screen on. This is where it comes in handy. So you put the screen on. That's why it becomes this lovely amber color. You don't want those beans escaping from the potpourri. So then, just depending on how dark you want it to go, this is the beans escaping. Of course, I had to take off the screen to take the pictures so you'd actually be able to see what's going on here. But this is, about the level of roast you want, and you really want to pay attention and be very careful about, smelling it and looking at it. I have friends who really prefer it really, really dark, so for them, I'll just really roast certain coffees really, really dark for them. Put the beans in the strainer, and then you just really want to cool them. And then I have this lovely cookie sheet, too, that I absconded with from my wife as well. So make sure you have plenty of kitchen supplies on hand and access to them. And don't tell anybody that you're taking them, too. So, and then they actually automatically and magically become your own because, want them back in the house. Okay, so then you put the coffee beans out there. The fan is going. It is cooling those beans off. They smell wonderful at this point. And you're probably tempted to actually drink the coffee, grind it up, but you probably want to wait a little bit. Actually, it actually tastes better as you go along. So like the next day, it's even better. And this is why. You see the smoke there. So this is why you need the fan. And you can't see my neighbor's house, and my neighbor can't see me. So it's good. It provides a kind of a barrier between neighbors. So... But yeah, that's definitely why you want to put it out. And then you've got this beautifully finished product, and it is probably some of the best coffee I've ever had. So I have to say I haven't gone back. It's very easy to do, and I have to say the only time that it's bad is maybe winter when it's about -10, and you're sitting out in the garage and you're roasting coffee and you're thinking, gosh, I got to turn on the fan. Anyway, thank you very much.